This show is produced by the Harwood Podcast Network.
Hi, I'm Cindy Harris, and we love making this show available to you free of charge. If you'd like to help us keep it that way, make a contribution to our Karma Jar or become a show sponsor. To learn more, visit our website. Well, if you're looking for something to serve at either a brunch or for a light dessert, this Blintz souffle is something you'll definitely want to try. It's super airy, has that great Blintz filling that we love, and I've made a real simple cherry sauce to go on top. Now we're going to begin by getting our pan ready. So get out either an 8x8 or a 9x9 square pan, and we're going to spray that with some baking spray. And I'll move my pan to the side, and then you're going to want to get out either your blender or your food processor. This batter we put together much like a crepe batter, and a blender works really well for that. Now the first thing that goes in are 3 eggs, 3/4 of a cup of sour cream, and I'm using a non-fat sour cream, but you can use whatever you have available. And that goes in. And next, some orange juice. Now, I'm going to actually be using fresh orange juice. If you have some in the refrigerator from breakfast, go ahead and use that. I'm going to use my reamer and squeeze out 1/4 of a cup. And that ends up being the juice of 1 orange. 3 tablespoons of sugar. Next, I've melted 1/2 cup of butter, and it has cooled a little bit, and I'll add that. And 1 teaspoonful of baking powder. Then I'm going to put the lid on the blender and get it blending. Now that just takes a couple of seconds to kind of get blended. Then I'm getting my flour out, and I'm going to lighten that up and measure out 1 cup of flour. Now this is where the blender comes in really handy. I'm going to put the flour in the blender, and then I'm going to let this blend until it's totally smooth. Now after just a couple of seconds, I'm going to use my spatula and stir that around. Many times the flour likes to sort of hang out at the top, and pulse that again. And that looks good, and you can see this is a pretty thick batter. Now if you've had traditional Blintzes, this would be much like the little pancakes or like crepes that you would make to put the filling in. But because this is a souffle and is going to be made in a dish, this is what we're going to be pouring in here, but not quite yet. Now I'm going to make the filling. In a small bowl, I've measured out 4 ounces of cream cheese, and that's 1/2 of a package. Now this is the full fat cream cheese. I find that when you bake cream cheese, it's best to use the full fat. If you're going to be using it in something else like a spread or something like that, you can get away with the lesser fat. But when it's baking, we want it to hold its shape, so we want to go full fat. And then some cottage cheese. Now this is actually a low-fat cottage cheese, but what's most important is that you get a small curd cottage cheese. And the reason I like this is because it's not as watery as some of the larger curd cottage cheese. And I'll measure out 1 cup of that and add that to my cream cheese. Next, I need 1 egg yolk. So I'll take my egg and I'll separate out the white and put the yolk in. Then for a little bit of sweetness, 1 tablespoon of sugar and 1 teaspoon of vanilla. Now I'm going to use my hand mixer for this, and I'll mix this on a slow speed. And then last, I'm just going to take my spatula, make sure that everything is mixed in. And I'm not worried that the mixture is not smooth. There's no way to get that cottage cheese totally smooth at this point, but it's not a problem because when it bakes in the oven, it'll all melt. Now it's time to put our souffle together. So I'm going to bring my pan out, and I'm going to pour 1/2 of the batter into the pan, and I'll use my spatula to move it to all corners of the pan. And then I'm going to take my filling, and with a spoon, I'm just going to drop little bits of that filling all over the top. They don't have to be evenly spaced or anything like that. Make sure to get it to the edges if you can. So it'll look something like this. And then I'll take the rest of the batter and I'm just going to gently pour that over the top. And do use your spatula to scrape as much of that batter out as you can. Now we want to make sure that that cream cheese is covered up. I'm just going to use the back of my spatula, kind of pat that down. Now I've preheated the oven to 350 degrees. I'm going to put this in to bake for about 50 minutes. And while this is baking, I'm going to make my cherry sauce. Now this cherry sauce is really good and it's really easy to put together. I'm going to start by using some cherries. Now these are a sweet dark cherry. Sometimes they sell them in jars in just a light syrup. Sometimes they sell them frozen, and that's the way I got them this week. I'm going to measure out 3 cups, and you don't need to worry about defrosting them. And to the cherries, I'm going to add 1/4 cup of water, 3 tablespoons of sugar, a teaspoon of fresh lemon juice, and to thicken the juices, 1 teaspoon of cornstarch. I'm going to bring this over to the stove, put it on a medium heat, and bring it to boil until it's nice and thick. Now while the souffle is baking and the cherry sauce is cooking, I wanted to take just a moment to tell you about the badge program that we've launched here at the network. What we've done is designed all these beautiful badges that you can earn and collect just by doing some of the things that you see on our podcasts. So for example, if you make this delicious Blintz souffle, all you'd have to do is send me a photo or a video clip and I'll send you the souffle badge. Now if you're interested in signing up to earn badges, just go to our website to sign up. It's totally free and people around the world are having lots of fun with it. Now once you start to see some steam coming off the cherries, you're going to want to stick with this a little bit more because that means it's starting to think about coming to boil. Now it is important that the juice does come to boil because that's the only way that the cornstarch will work to thicken those juices. And as the cherries come up to boil, then I'm just going to take and move them off the heat. Now when it comes out of the oven, you can see it's nice and puffed and golden brown along the sides. Now you are going to want to serve this while it's warm, so just take a big spoon and spoon it out, and you can see how light and airy that is. It's perfect. And then just take a spoonful of those warm cherries and drizzle it on the top. Now this is great for a dessert or it's great to serve at a brunch, so either way your guests will love it. Now if you'd like to try this Blintz souffle at home, just go to our website and visit the easy entertaining show notes and I'll have the recipe there for you. Now don't forget to join us on Facebook, and also if you have any questions or ideas for me, please send me an email. I'll see you next time.